Charlie Coles, Miami University Redhawks. Well, I think each year you've got to take a look at your team, at least I do, and try to figure out the areas you can be strong and also where you're weak at. And then from there, I think you got to stay away from your weaknesses, and you got to build on your strengths. So, with that being said, every year I try to give us a new emphasis without changing anything major. So, what we're going to just try to be a very tough team this year. We've got numbers on our team. We've got about 10 or 11 guys that I feel comfortable with. And I know coaches say that a lot, and, we end up playing 6 or 7 players. And maybe that'll happen this year. I don't know. But as of now, I just feel so comfortable with more of our players than probably any year since 98, 99. So we're going to try to be a tough team and a well-conditioned team. That's the first thing we're going to emphasize with our team. In the years past, we talked a lot about execution. That's going to come later. Right now, we want to be a team that works for everything we get. We want to be well-conditioned and try to bring about some toughness, because I just think numbers would suggest that you can do a little bit more with your energy. Well, the Mid-American Conference is just a tough league. It's a league where we all usually end up taking different routes for our players to get our players, but it's amazing how these players are similar on the court. And let's say that one school has 2 junior college players on their roster, and another school doesn't have any. It's so amazing that, with that being said, that the teams will eventually look like each other. And that's what I like about our league, is that usually probably about 7 or 8 of us have about the same talent level. And to me, that brings about a very interesting season. And the one thing I wouldn't trade for anything, and that would be the balance that we have in our league from year to year. If you look the last 2 years of Akron and Ohio University in our conference tournaments, to me that's wonderful, because now it tells everybody that you're never out of it, and I think that's great. I think purity. What you see is what you get. We worry in our league a lot about exposure. I'm one guy that don't worry about exposure. I've been around long enough to know that there's other things you can have too, and that's a peace of mind. And I know as a coach, I have a peace of mind that I'm playing in a tough league. I've got a tough team. There's great coaches in this league. And I don't have to read about it. I don't have to have someone on a TV station tell me that we've got a good league. I know we got a good league, and I feel very secure in that. And if it so happens that our league gets bigger and better, that's great. But as far as I'm concerned, it's already bigger and better. Well, 2 reasons. Number one, I had phenomenal teachers when I was growing up. And when I was in elementary school, I had 2 men that probably had as big an influence on my life, other than my high school coach and my dad, of anybody I've ever known. And that was my grade school principal, Bill Weller, and my 6th grade teacher and Coach Tom Conway. Those two guys enjoyed coming to school every day. I don't think they had a bad day. And I always thought to myself at that very young age, I said, boy, I would love to do what they do because they're having fun. And that always stuck in my mind. And then the second thing was when I came to Miami, back in the days when I came, we had some coaching giants here. We had Coach Srider, who was my head basketball coach. We had Darrell Hedricks, who I think is the finest coach that ever coached in the Mid-American Conference. He and Bob Nichols. And then I had Bo Schembechler as a teacher. He taught a football class. And those 9 weeks with Coach Schembechler in that football class convinced me that I wanted to be a coach, because that guy was so dynamic and so energetic, and his philosophy was airtight. I didn't know a lot about football, but I predicted back then, I said, we're being taught by a special man. And little did I know that later on, this guy would become one of the all-time greats. You know, 10 years ago, I'd have never thought this. And people my age always told me, wait till you get grandkids. And I never thought much of it. Now I got 4 of them. And I can't tell you how much I enjoy my grandkids. I told someone the other day that I'm not so sure every parent loves their kids as much as they should. Although my son and daughter and my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law, they love their kids as much as they should. But I don't know if every parent loves their kids as much as they should. But I do know this. Every grandparent loves their grandkids way more than they should. And I'm one of those guys. And I'm happy to say that any free time I have, I want to spend it with those kids, because it's precious time. And that's my most fun time of anything that I do. Well, my best thing that I've enjoyed, and I enjoyed it along with our basketball team, was our 98-98 team that we had here that went to Sweet 16. Now, that was a good team, but even more important than that, we had some real characters on that team. We have Wally Szczerbiak, who, in my mind, I've never known a guy who was as much of a leader and all-around person as that guy. I don't know that he ever had a bad day at practice. He had a smile on his face all the time. And we just had we had Damon Frierson. We had a guy named John Estick, who I always tell people, the team coached John, not me. John was one of those free spirits. We had a guy named Rob Mestis that was one of my personal favorites. And the steady Damon Frierson. We just had a group of guys that blended in with each other, and I think if we hadn't had such a special season, I think I would have still enjoyed those guys regardless. Gonna sound crazy, real crazy, and somebody's gonna do it probably other than me. And I don't have a lot of time to get this done, and this is almost impossible. But when Butler made it to the Final Four last year, I was so jealous, because I want to be a coach that helps his team get to the Final Four and become the first team from the MAC that ever got to the Final Four. Now, probably won't happen, but even old men can dream. You can't. That's too narrow. I love every place. Now, people at Northern don't know me as well. Okay, so I'll kind of rule them out. They're not bad fans, but they just don't know me. You know, where is Northern? You know, all I know is I fall asleep somewhere near Indianapolis, and I wake up just before we get to DeKalb. I have no idea where it's at. I know it's in Illinois. They say it's in northern Illinois, but it seems like it's in western Illinois, okay? Every other, Central, I coached there, so there's still probably a little tension there, maybe. Not on my part, but maybe it is. But everywhere else, I enjoy because I have so much fun with our fans. Kent, oh God, how can you beat Kent? Them people are rugged, but I love it. Ohio University, that Ozone up there. I can't wait to get there. Western Michigan, I have a thing going with the fans there. Eastern, I don't know them very well. I'd say Eastern, Central, and Northern. Let's rule them out. Bowling Green, yeah. Buffalo, yeah. They're rough up in Buffalo, especially when they're good because it's cold up there. Everybody's got a bad disposition. They come to the games to air things out, and a lot of times I'm afraid up there, but I don't let them show. I don't show it, but I like them. And but I tell you what, that's a good thing about our league. That's a good thing about being in our league so long as I have. You get to know the fans, and there's something about sport that is healthy when they dislike you. And it's healthy when you rub it in on them or whatever. So it would be hard for me to pick one spot. This is going to sound strange, and it's true. I used to. Now, you got to remember, I'm 68 years old. I can't remember what I did before the last game. So I don't know if I got a ritual or not. I mean, I'm nervous. I don't know. Me and my wife are leaving the house. I'm telling her what she forgot. She's telling me what I forgot. Chances are our granddaughter's coming over here with us. That raises some havoc. I have no idea what I do before a game. Well, I can't answer for my team because you never know. But for me, it's special. It's just getting to Cleveland. Getting your key, checking into your room. There's always my wife always goes to the tournament with me. She loves it because it's kind of like a vacation for her. She's hoping we stay longer. For me, it's the best, and I really mean that. Just sliding that key in. When they give you a key, it's like a privilege. Here you go. Because some people don't have the key. Especially now, because teams aren't making it now. We've made it so that we don't all go anymore. I love it. Slide your key in. And the worst thing is, and we tell our players that, when they take your key, you've lost. You get one night, and then you got to clear out the next morning. I can remember playing in all those championship games early on when we were involved, and I remember looking at some of the teams leaving. We'd be going down to eat breakfast, and we could stay one more day, or maybe we were in a championship game. That's a privilege. And you better believe every team in our league, every coach in our league coaches for that moment. Everything we do, I don't care who the coach is, everything we do is based on that moment, is to stay in Cleveland, get to Cleveland, stay there as long as you can. Well, my son gets mad at me for this. But in 1986, my first year as head basketball coach at Central Michigan University, I went through bypass surgery, reported to my team late, wasn't able to coach to January 12th. My son played on a very good high school team, Saginaw Buena Vista. They had lost in the state tournament 2 years in a row in the state final game. They're playing Flint Beecher. They're down by one. State championship game, Chrysler Arena. Flint Beecher goes to the free throw line. They hit one free throw, go up by one. It's for the three-point shot, year for the three-point shot in college. Although this was a high school game, Flint Beecher misses the shot. They flip it out to my son. He's at three-quarter court. He throws up a shot, and it is a shot, and it goes in. They win the state championship on his shot. There's been a lot of shots made like that, but in Michigan, never won the win state championship. My greatest thrill ever, and it was because my daughter was there, my wife was there, and I was there. And it's ironic that he did that because when I was high school coach at Saginaw High, my son was always there, and we lost in the state championship, state Final Four 6 times and never won it. And I always told my son, I hope you win it. And this is a true story. I know you're running out of time, but after we lost in 1976 in the state championship game, me and my son vowed to sleep on the floor until we won the state championship. We slept on the floor, true story, for 4 years in a row. And the only reason why we got up off of that floor was because I had an illness that I had to deal with. But we did that for 4 years, dedicating ourselves to the state championship. And we never won it. But then my son comes along and he makes that shot to win it for his team. And it was almost like justice, my greatest thrill. I gotta confess this. I gotta confess it. I'm scared of the dark. I sleep with my light on when my wife is gone. When I'm at home by myself, whether it's daytime or nighttime, if I take a nap, if I fall asleep, if I'm going to sleep at night, I sleep with the light on. I'm still afraid of darkness. My worst job I ever had, when I dropped out of Miami, I worked in the Morris Bean factory in Yellow Springs, Ohio. And I hated my foreman. My favorite music artist is Miles Davis. Jazz, played the trumpet. I consider him a genius. Robert De Niro. I know the movie. I can see it right now. De Niro was in it. Goodfellas. Goodfellas. Boy, I've had a lot of favorite meals, but my favorite meal right now would be beans and rice. New Orleans style. My favorite holiday is Christmas. It's the story of Christ, the gathering of family. Nothing beats Christmas. Not LeBron James, because he would leave. I would build that team around Kevin Durant. Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown. My favorite vacation spot, it's going to sound awful corny, and it is a vacation. This is cheating. Cleveland the second week of March.